Have you ever caught yourself saying something hopeful, like, "I have never been in a car accident," and then quickly reaching out to knock on the nearest wooden table? You may have done it without even thinking. Maybe someone nearby reminded you to do it, or maybe it just felt automatic, like a habit passed down without anyone ever really explaining why. In this episode, we are exploring the story behind that small habit and the surprisingly tangled history behind it, right here on the Lost History of Everyday Things. The phrase most people use is "knock on wood," though in some parts of the world it is known as "touch wood." Either way, the idea is the same. When someone says something positive about their health, their luck, or their future, and they do not want to jinx it, they knock on the nearest piece of wood, or sometimes just tap their own head as a joke if no wood is nearby. It is meant to ward off bad luck, almost like a small protective spell tucked into everyday conversation. It is worth pausing here to say something honestly. It is an odd tradition that I do not understand. Millions of people do this every single day without a second thought. And yet, if you ask most of them why they are doing it, they will shrug and say it is just something you do. That alone makes it a fascinating topic for us to dig into. So where did this habit actually come from? Like many old traditions, there is no single clear answer. Instead, there are several theories, and historians still debate which one is closest to the truth. One popular theory traces the habit back to ancient pagan beliefs. Many old European cultures, including the Celts and various Germanic tribes, believed that spirits or gods lived inside trees. Oak trees, in particular, were often seen as sacred and were associated with powerful deities. If someone said something boastful or hopeful out loud, they believed they might attract the attention of mischievous spirits who would want to spoil that good fortune. Touching or knocking on a tree was thought to either wake up a friendly spirit who could offer protection, or to thank that spirit for good luck already given. Some versions of this theory say the knocking sound was meant to interrupt any spirits who might be listening in, almost like knocking on a door to ask them not to eavesdrop on your good news. Another theory connects the tradition to early Christian beliefs. In this version, wood is significant because of its association with the cross. Touching wood was seen as a way of calling on the protection of the cross, or of Christ, whenever someone spoke about something they hoped would stay safe or come true. This theory suggests that the habit shifted over time from a pagan spiritual practice into a more Christian one, blending old superstition with newer religious meaning as cultures changed across Europe. A third theory is much simpler and less mystical. Some historians believe the phrase may have started as part of a children's game called Tag or Tiggy Touchwood, which was popular in parts of Britain many years ago. In this version of the game, a player was considered safe from being tagged if they were touching a piece of wood, such as a tree or a fence post. Some believe that this playground rule slowly worked its way into everyday language, with adults later using the same idea of wood offering safety, only now applied to luck instead of a game. Whichever origin is correct, or perhaps a combination of all three, the tradition spread widely and took root in many cultures, though the exact form of the custom can look quite different depending on where you are in the world. In the United States and Canada, the phrase is almost always "knock on wood," and people tend to physically rap their knuckles 2 or 3 times on any nearby wooden surface, a table, a chair, a door frame, whatever happens to be close. In the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, the more common phrase is "touch wood," and the action is sometimes a gentler tap rather than a firm knock. Other cultures have their own versions of this superstition that do not always involve wood at all. In Germany, some people say "toi toi toi" while pretending to spit 3 times over their shoulder, a gesture meant to ward off bad luck in a similar way. In Italy, some people touch iron rather than wood, especially in southern regions, where touching a piece of iron is believed to protect against a jinx. In parts of Turkey, people may pull on their earlobe and knock on wood at the same time, combining 2 protective gestures into one. In Egypt and other parts of the Middle East, some people say a phrase that roughly translates to "in the name of God," instead of physically touching anything at all. There is also a lesser-known theory worth mentioning, one that comes from Jewish folklore in Eastern Europe. Some historians point to a practice where people would knock on the wooden doorframe of a synagogue, partly as a signal that they had arrived, and partly as a quiet gesture of respect before entering a sacred space. Over generations, some believe this small act blended with surrounding European superstitions about luck and protection, eventually feeding into the wider habit we recognize today. It is difficult to prove a direct line between these customs, but folklore rarely travels in a straight path. It tends to blend, borrow, and reshape itself as it moves from one community to another, picking up new meaning along the way while quietly dropping pieces of the old one. It also helps to remember that trees themselves held enormous importance in the daily lives of ancient people in a way that can be easy to forget today. Long before modern medicine, modern agriculture, or modern shelter, trees provided fuel for fire, material for tools, wood for homes, and shade from the sun. It would have made sense for early communities to treat something so essential to survival with a sense of reverence or even fear. If a tree could provide life-saving warmth in winter or shelter from a storm, it is not hard to imagine why people believed something greater than an ordinary plant might be living inside it. Respecting or even worshiping something so central to daily survival was less a strange superstition and more a practical response to how much people depended on it. This is where I have to point out something else. The act of knocking on wood does not seem to fit the reason most people do it. If the original purpose was to call on a spirit living inside a tree, then knocking on a factory-made table, a plastic laminate desk, or the wooden trim of a modern doorway does not really match that old belief. Most of the wood we knock on today was cut, processed, and shaped long ago, and it is unlikely that anyone truly believes a spirit is still living inside it. Yet the habit continues anyway, almost as if the action has become more important than the belief that once explained it. That disconnect is actually pretty common with old superstitions. Over hundreds of years, traditions often survive long after their original meaning has faded away. People keep doing the action because it feels familiar, comforting, or simply polite, even if they no longer remember or believe in the reason behind it. Knocking on wood has become less about spirits and trees and more about a small ritual of humility. A quick gesture that says, "I do not want to seem like I am bragging about my good luck." Psychologists have actually studied this kind of behavior, and there is an interesting angle to consider. Saying something out loud like, "My flight has never been delayed," can create a small feeling of unease in the speaker, almost as if talking about good fortune might somehow challenge it. Knocking on wood right afterward gives people a quick way to ease that discomfort. It is less about actual magic and more about managing the anxious feeling that comes from tempting fate, even for people who do not consciously believe in luck or spirits at all. Interestingly, wood is not the only surface with old protective meaning attached to it. Iron, silver, and certain stones have all carried similar beliefs in different cultures throughout history, each one tied to old ideas about strength, protection, or purity. Wood may have simply been the easiest material for most people to reach for since it was found in homes, furniture, doors, and trees all around them. There is also a theory that the tradition may be tied to old woodworking and carpentry customs, where craftsmen would tap or knock on a piece of wood before starting work, almost as a way of testing its strength or blessing the project before beginning. A hollow sound might mean the wood was weak or damaged inside, while a solid sound meant it was safe to build with. Over time, this practical action may have blended with superstition until it became something people did in everyday speech rather than only in a workshop, carrying the old idea of testing for safety into a phrase about testing your luck. It is also interesting how many other small superstitions exist alongside knocking on wood, almost forming a shared family of habits meant to protect against bad luck. Some people avoid walking under ladders. Some throw a pinch of spilled salt over their left shoulder. Some avoid opening umbrellas indoors. None of these actions have any real effect on the outcome of a person's day, yet they persist generation after generation, often taught to children by parents who themselves are not entirely sure where the habit came from. Knocking on wood fits neatly into this same family, a small physical action meant to offer a sense of control in moments that otherwise feel completely outside of anyone's control. There is even a business side to this old superstition. Some companies have used the phrase in branding, product names, or advertising slogans, playing on the idea of luck and protection to make their products feel more comforting or trustworthy. A furniture company built entirely from real wood, for example, might lean into the phrase as a playful nod to durability and good fortune, even if the connection is more marketing than tradition. This shows how far a small superstition can travel, moving from ancient forests and sacred trees all the way into modern advertising campaigns without losing its familiar phrase along the way. Even today, the phrase and the gesture continue to evolve. Some people say knock on wood purely as a joke, without any real belief attached to it. Others use it more seriously, especially before something important like a medical test result, a job interview, or a long trip. Some people knock on their own head if no wood is nearby, laughing about it while still doing the action anyway, almost like a habit too deeply built in to skip. Some people even knock on wood after mentioning bad luck rather than good luck, using it as a way to prevent something unfortunate from happening at all. The tradition has also made its way into modern media, appearing in movies, television shows, and books, often used as a lighthearted moment where a character says something hopeful and then quickly taps a table with a nervous laugh. This has helped keep the phrase alive for younger generations, even those who have never heard the older explanations involving spirits, crosses, or playground games. So the next time you hear someone say, knock on wood, after mentioning something they hope stays good, pay attention to what happens next. Watch how quickly their hand moves toward the nearest wooden surface, almost without thinking. It is a small gesture, tucked into daily conversation, carrying centuries of shifting belief, blended cultures, and half-remembered meaning. Whether it comes from ancient tree spirits, old Christian symbolism, a forgotten children's game, or simply the comfort of ritual itself, the habit has managed to survive into modern life, even for those of us who still find it a little puzzling. Thank you for watching this episode. If you have suggestions for our next videos, please share them in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the lost history of everyday things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories that surprise us with their origins, beliefs, and stories passed down through generations.